We're going. We're streaming. So.
So that's why education. Oh. Personally, I'm not going nowhere.
So we're gonna start in about 5 minutes.
Okay. Do you want to just? Yeah, we'll just let it go.
Yeah. People trickle in.
Yeah, say hello to the people. So it'll show.
So yeah, if you could say like starting in 5 minutes, can you do that?
Yeah. I
We're
remember how
live.
to do it. Yeah.
I can let the people know that we're gonna start in 5
We're
minutes.
figuring it out.
Oh yeah.
It's always something, right?
Yeah, of course.
So.
That's going great. How are you?
That's really what I got my waiting for that time. Yeah, it's done. As soon as I can get it off that I need to charge, I already know it's tired. Wow, good. It's so tired. You know, it's like up to 7. So I sleep at the gym. So we found even all that help.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome to the November Arizona NORML chapter meeting. I am the executive director, House is fine. We have our vice or our deputy. We have Savannah. We have Jay. We have Sandy, our volunteer coordinator, and then we have reps from Tucson here. Special guest.
Hello.
And we have Ryan here. And we have Jerry and Sue here. We have the whole squad here. Everybody's here today. And with that, Todd's gonna go to national.
All right.
Oh, and AJ's here.
All right, today's voting day across the U.S. for most states that haven't something to vote for. And Ohio is voting for adult use today, and if passed, it will be the 24th state to legalize recreational, and the 14th to do so with a public vote. I was favored in the polls, and they turned in twice as many signatures as needed to be on the ballot. So we'll wait hear the news probably tomorrow that it passed. It passed. The House reintroduces legislation repealing marijuana prohibition. A bipartisan group led by Representative Nancy Mace of South Carolina introduced a bill to remove cannabis from the Controlled Substances Act again. And okay, I never did the Ohio thing. And then still, the FBI says that police made over 250,000 arrests in 2022. Even with all the states that we have legalized, there's still all these other states that stepped up their arrests. So we still have over 4 million arrests as of last year.
No.
And then in Alaska, the Anchorage Assembly votes to reform marijuana testing policies for most community workers. So if you work at the city over in Alaska, we're not going to be testing. All right, that's all I had.
All right.
That was all of it.
One more.
Yeah, you want to come up and introduce your guest?
So, yeah, sure.
This is AJ's guest.
Hey, AJ, good to see you,
He's
buddy.
not just AJ's guest, he's my guest
Is that
too.
AJ?
But AJ was the one that Nick choreographed it. So
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. I know I missed a few meetings recently, but tonight we actually have, as a guest, we have Mr. Mike Crawford. And Mr. Mike Crawford is actually running for Maricopa County Sheriff's. So, introduce yourself, say hello. Thank you very much for making it out. So, and I also have him on as a guest on my podcast. You can watch it at the Blue Creek Podcast.
that's why I wanted you up here. So,
Yes. So, Mike, take it
yeah,
away.
you have it all.
Hello, potheads. Nobody was aware.
You'll learn.
He's on the top now. We're good. We're good for now.
I am sincere. So my name is Mike Crawford. I was a cop for a long time. I'd like to say I was a good one. And by that, you'll get to know me and you'll learn on your own that I don't just throw things out there and expect you to just accept it. I want you to get to know me and learn on your own. I want to earn your respect and earn your trust, as I have with Allison and Paige. So, I grew up in Farmington, New Mexico, or just outside of Farmington, New Mexico, on the Navajo Indian Reservation. I studied ancient Indian cultures, so it gives me a bit of a unique perspective on respecting our land and where we come from and Mother Earth. That's where I'm from. Those are my roots. I grew up in the Four Corners area, just south of Durango, Colorado, up in the mountains. It's a beautiful place to be from. I tell a lot of people. It snows a lot, and I like it better here. So, I was a volunteer fireman in high school. At the age of 14, that's where I learned how to be a volunteer, and I earned my service wings, I guess, my service heart. But what kind of started me on that path, I got busted in high school with marijuana. Me and my buddy, Terrence Charette, who was half Navajo, half Cherokee, he had a cassette case, I'll take it back, I'm old. So class of 87. So he had his cassette case and he had about 5 or 6 joints in there. And we were out on the grass area, toting up, and like we did every morning in high school. And it was red. And all the teachers were in meeting, and we didn't realize they were in the classroom right next to where we were smoking, and they were watching us. So we get done, and they got done on their conference, and they kind of met us on the other side of the building. And Terrence handed off the cassette case off to a friend, and they saw it. So anyway, we got hauled off to the office. I was 14, and had to call my mom. That was the worst thing in the world. And deputy shows up. We didn't get arrested because we were underage in New Mexico. Thank God, it was cleaner for that much. Everything else in New Mexico was felony. But anyway, so running a stop sign in New Mexico is a misdemeanor. All traffic is a misdemeanor. That's not like here. Here, that would be a civil issue, but Mexico's a little tough. So anyway, call my mom, get in trouble. She chews me out later. She made me change my friends because smoking the devil's lettuce. We all know what that'll do. So changed my friends. Had to move away from the stoners, so I hooked up with the rednecks and joined the volunteer fire department, and they drank a lot of beer. So I hung out with them and drank beer, and football players and smoked weed, and went into volunteering with them, had a blast. Graduated high school, went off to the military, served in the Air Force. I was a non-commissioned officer in the Air Force. Went overseas for 3 years. Served in the Air Force for 4 years and 7 months. I know that's a weird number, right? So I was in England for 3 years. My daughter was born there. Was there for the fall of the Berlin Wall. Gulf Wars, the Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Didn't get a mark on me, That's pretty good. So at the end of the Cold War, 2 Gulf Wars, I'm a pretty lucky kid, right? So I get a cake assignment in the United States after that. I was like, hey, I'm looking high, this is great. I'll finish out my tour and everything's good. So I'm on a little temporary duty assignment in Florida, standing out on the flight line. Cocoa Beach of all places. Rough, right? And I'm working on my airplane, and I woke up in the hospital. No idea what the hell happened. It hurt a lot. I got struck by lightning. And found out that they got me, luckily, to the hospital in time. They were able to revive me. It actually killed me. So I broke my back. I have a traumatic brain injury, PTSD from that, and a whole lot of lingering side effects. I don't recommend it. It does not tickle, and it will screw you up for a long time. I have 3 fractured vertebrae in my back and 9 compressed discs, along with a whole slew of other things. I'm 90% disabled from the military. That was July 10th, 1991. So that was a long time ago. Like I said, I'm an old man, but I heard this. So that could have ended me right there, Kind of did. Ended my military career. At the time it sucked, but you look back and you think, now I look back, hindsight's pretty cool. I got a second chance. It was a blessing. So after that, I went back home, and my dad had been a cop growing up, so I got to hear those cool stories, chasing bad guys and all that. So I thought, hey, I'll give that a shot. So I went over and tested with the sheriff's office, and they hired me. The captain that was sitting, they do an oral board. You sit at a table, and there's all these high-ranking guys, the sheriff, and all these. So there's a captain sitting there. That captain that was sitting there on my oral board was the deputy that was at the high school when I got busted for smoking. Mike Davidson. Okay. So I got hired, and whenever you go into law enforcement, AJ, you can back this up, you have to do a minimum time on the road as a basic patrol person to learn the ropes, right? So I did my basic time out on the street as a deputy sheriff up in New Mexico, and it was awesome. God, it was a cool time. I had a blast. Went through the academy in Santa Fe. Santa Fe is 7,000 feet elevation. So it's 2,000 feet higher than Denver in the wintertime. So in the snow, 7,000 feet, all that. So if you're worried, physically, I'm okay. Made it through the police academy, all the running and over fences and through the washes and all the physical stuff, fighting, and they teach all the defensive tactics and everything. I'm good. So I went through all that, did great. Decided, hey, I need a little more excitement in my life. The cool thing about being a cop, you can do all kinds of things. There's all kinds of different cops. We had a DEA task force. Yes. I was a DEA agent. But I'm here in front of you. I know.
Times are a-changing.
Bring it. So, hold on. Hear me out. I have good news. Hold on. So I go in front of the sheriff. I have to turn in my application and a memo requesting to go work for the DEA task force and be a special agent for the DEA. Who's the sheriff? Mike Davidson, the captain, the former deputy busted me in high school. He got elected sheriff. Yeah. And he says, Mike, I remember back in high school, I know you know about this drug stuff because you've had some dealings with it in your life. But I also know that you cleaned up your act, went in the military, had a decorated service. I have awards for being in the military. I was a good guy. I did good. I loved it. I really enjoyed what I did. I did really good in the military. With the sheriff's office, the time that I had been there, the 3 or so years, I was a good cop. I was good at it. I loved it. He said, I'll give you a shot. So I got to work undercover in the town I grew up in. Yes, I arrested some guys out in high school because they were still doing stupid stuff. And I actually got them out. It gave me an opportunity to actually help people. But, so I'm an undercover narcotics agent working in the town I grew up in. So I worked Farmington area, I worked Gallup, which is McKinley County, and I worked in Grants also, Siebel County. The intake for all the prisons in that area. So I was pretty busy. Worked undercover up there, had a blast for a little while. So up there we have, there's Narcotics Anonymous, you call it the tip line and stuff like that. We had Crime Stoppers. You could call Crime Stoppers and make an anonymous call. Every Crime Stoppers tip that came in for drugs came to me in all 3 counties. So and this is before, we had big databases and good computer technology like now. So I had to make my own databases and track all this stuff. So I did that for the DEA. I was undercover for about 1.5 years, and I had to leave. I could not stand it anymore. The bureaucracy is unreal, and it hasn't changed. All they were out for was asset forfeiture. My boss would direct me to go after people that had paid off cars instead of people that owed money on their cars. Didn't give a shit what they were selling or how much they were moving. They wanted their cars. They wanted asset forfeiture. So if somebody was moving a lot of money and their car was paid off, and if it was a pretty car, that was a bonus. My boss wanted to drive that car. And it was disgusting. And it's gotten worse. You know it. I know it. I lived it. I did it. I was ordered to. I had to get out. It was nasty, it was dirty, it was wrong, and it pissed me off. And I couldn't do it anymore. Working undercover sucks. I was hanging out in bars around bad drug dealers and heavy users, tweakers, and just people that were doing bad things. And it got to where I would go home and I'd take a shower and I just couldn't wash it off. And I had little kids and I just couldn't do it. The worst part was my administration. The dirty things they were doing, I couldn't wash them. I just couldn't do it. I have a conscience, I couldn't do it. The things that our government is doing in this so-called war on drugs is bullshit. And it's a war on citizens of this country against our constitutional rights for their own personal needs. And it's disgusting. I can't stand it. I won't stand it. So I went back. I gave it up. I went back to work as a deputy, went to the civil division, and I started hunting bad guys, felons. People that had warrants, I go pick them up all over the country and bring them back to meet justice. And I really enjoy doing that with pace up. So like maybe some of you in here, I came to Arizona for the prosperity and the opportunities that it has. When I was a little kid, we'd get off the bus stop and run home down the dirt road. Chips was coming out. DJ and the Bear, the good TV shows that he's doing. And I got addicted to chips. I always wanted to be a motorcycle cop. I moved here I got a job with Glendale PD, and I worked with Glendale for 23 and a half years. 18 of it was a motorcycle cop. Thought I was a DEA agent was bad. I was the senior DUI motorcycle instructor for the city of Glendale. All I did was arrest impaired drivers. It was a fun job. I saved a lot of lives. I saved a lot of people from themselves. People got too impaired, and they were bouncing off the road, bouncing off the curbs and stuff like that. I'd get them off the road. I had a lot of people thank me for what I did. Getting them off the road, saving their life. Now, I worked a lot of fatalities too. Whenever there was a bad wreck and somebody got killed, impaired or not necessarily all of them were impaired. Some people fall asleep or bad things happen. Accidents can really happen. I investigated a lot of those, but a lot of what I did was impaired drivers, and I got really good at it. But then the time comes, I was a cop for 28 and a half years total. And it was time for me to hang up the big, those knee-high leather boots, even though they're pretty big. But I couldn't do it anymore. I have a computer implant in my back. AJ and I talked about this on the podcast. For a lot of my career, I was taking 7 Vicodins a day for pain. My back, my hips, my hands. That's a lot. That sucks, huh? I'm allergic to Oxycontin and oxycodone, so I couldn't take those, thank God. Right? But Vicodins were my savior. You guys know what opioids do, if you've taken them. Cannabis is way better for you. It's natural, right? It comes from the earth. Your body has natural cannabinoid receptors. You don't have the natural receptors for opioids. Now your body does work with them, but it's not. Your body's not chemically receptive to them like they are with cannabis. It's better for you. There's less side effects. You can use them. Illegal, right? We get randomly drug tested. They knew I was taking opioids. It was prescribed by a doctor. They didn't have a problem with it. Not at all. I went to random drug test. I got tested. Go. If I would have taken a CBD with no THC, and that would have showed up in my drug test, I'd have been fine. Even if it was just a lotion, I have arthritis in every joint in my body. I have what's called body-wide joint pain disorder. Because you're really screwed up, it's not a medical diagnosis. So, body-wide joint pain disorder. I have arthritis seriously in every joint in my body. Every joint in my body. I have a lot of pain. I don't let it stop me, but I can't even use legally as a certified cop, which I'm not anymore, I'm retired. But I couldn't even use a CBD lotion cream. It shows up in my drug test. Immediately. How about the fireman? Go.
Yep.
AJ's dying laughing. You'll poke the fireman. But it's true. So things are screwed up in this world. You guys know, especially around here. Things are screwed up. So why am I here talking? I believe in the Constitution. I'm running for sheriff. It'd be nice to have somebody on your side that believes in your rights as an American. The way things are set up right now around cannabis laws, even though we've made huge strides here in Arizona compared to other states, it's still screwed up. Things could be a lot better. We're Americans. Thank God. It wasn't our choice. not all of us, maybe some of it in here was our case. Maybe you moved here from somewhere else and you chose to be here. But we have rights that were given to us. God placed us on this earth, thankfully, for me. I'm so glad I was placed here as an American. But a lot of other things were placed here on this earth for us. The food we eat, and the medicines that are everywhere on this earth for us. It's our God-given right. Just like it is to protect yourself, to live your life how you deem necessary. Cannabis is a medicine that is placed here for us. It grows wild all over the earth. Why is it so regulated and demonized the way it is? Alcohol doesn't grow wildly or freely. It's manufactured, but it's legal everywhere. It's not stigmatized like cannabis is. It's all up here. Somebody came up with an advertising ploy that's, devil's lettuce, all these. It's just been demonized. It's not necessary. I just believe in rights. I believe in human rights, and I believe in our rights. We have to stand up for our rights, and that's what I believe in. The office of sheriff is a constitutional seat. Sheriff can't be fired. Like the chief of police works for the city, the mayor, city hall. If the chief of police steps out of line, he can be fired for not telling the line. They have to stay in line with what the political beliefs are of his boss. Sheriff is not that way. Sheriff is elected by the people and for the people and cannot be fired. Similar to a president, only it's harder to get rid of a sheriff than it is actually the president of the United States. They have to go through impeachments and all kinds of stuff. It's harder to get rid of the sheriff. So if the governor comes down and says, oh, we got to do this, or there's going to be mask mandates or whatever, or emergency orders and stuff like that, the sheriff does not have to comply. If you have a grow, for instance, and the DEA comes to your house and says, that's illegal, but you believe you're right, you call the sheriff. Who can kick federal agencies out of the county? Who has the authority to do that? Does the governor? Attorney General? Can the Attorney General say the FDA, say you're growing, you have chickens, and you're selling eggs to your neighbor, and the FDA says you can't do that without washing them. You have to wash them off because it's got bird poop on it. You need to wash them off. You say, no, it's all natural this way. I want to sell them to my neighbor for $1 a dozen without washing them because it's better that way because you don't have to refrigerate them. And the FDA says, no, you need to wash them and refrigerate them. You say, no, I'm not going to do that. That's not right. It's not natural. And they come to your house and they threaten to arrest you and fine you. And you call the Attorney General. Can the Attorney General kick them out and tell them no? No, they can't. The governor can't do it either. Who can? The sheriff. The sheriff is authorized by the Constitution of the United States. There's 2 law enforcement officers named in the Constitution. It's the President of the United States and the county sheriff. Period. That's it. That's how much power the county sheriff has. That's why it's such an important person in your chain of command to stand up for your rights. I just want you to know that I have your rights in mind, always. I took that oath whenever I swore myself as a military member, a non-commissioned officer, and twice as a law enforcement. I've never forsaken that oath, and I never will. I've never broken the law. I've never been arrested. I obey the law. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I will obey the law, and I will enforce the law, constitutional law. If one of these wacky politicians comes up with something that's not constitutionally sound and violates your rights, I will not enforce it. And if any federal agency comes into town and wants to overstep their bounds and violate your rights, call me, and they will be booted out of this county. I have the authority, and I will do it as your sheriff. I will protect you. gun dealer, ATF comes over and they're harassing you, I'll kick them out. If they're doing their job and they're doing it right, I'll work with them to protect you. But if they're overstepping their bounds, they're out. And they will have to call me before they can come back in my county. If their DEA comes in and they're harassing you, a business owner, if you're making edibles or whatever you're doing, or you're helping somebody that needs medical cannabis, and you're doing legally what you can do, and they're bugging you and harassing you. I have a very good friend of mine that makes edibles that he's been slaughtered. But he has his Netflix show. We won't stand for it. Chris and his wife are great people, and I won't stand for that. We won't allow that to happen. Now, that happened up in the apple pie. It won't happen here. We won't let that stand. That will not happen on my watch. I'm not a politician. I'm a lawman. Politicians can be bought. I am beholden to no one. All I'm asking for is a little bit of support and help. If you believe in me, if I've earned your help and your support and your trust, just let your friends know. I have a petition. I just have to get signatures to qualify to be on the ballot. You guys know about ballot initiatives and qualifying that way. Everybody has to qualify with signatures. Let your friends know they can sign online. We have a petition here you can sign. Just let your friends know. And if anybody, if you know somebody that can help financially, that always helps. I have to get my name out there so people know to vote for me. The biggest thing is advertising. The current sheriff resigned and will be leaving office in January. It's another thing he just didn't finish. So I will not be facing an incumbent. The only person I'm running against is the reason we're in the problems we are in now. He's cost us over $300 million in a lawsuit we've been paying on since 2007. He had to plead guilty to obstruction of justice because he lied in federal court. If you've done something so bad that you had to lie in court, you're a bad person. And he's bad. Bad. We don't need to do that again. So it's me. I'm only doing this. I have kids and grandkids that live here in this county. We have to clean up our house. This place is a mess. We have to fix it. And that's all I want to do. Guys, thank you so much for giving me the time and the opportunity. And on a side note, my wife Jamie is in the back. She's Native American. She has MS. And the first joint she ever smoked, I rolled for her because she didn't know how. She was over 30 years old and had never smoked a cigarette in her life. And I rolled her first joint because she didn't know how. She didn't have a freaking clue how to do it. She's like, I don't know what to do with it. She had to go to she got her green card, and this is before it was recreational legal. She went and got her medical card and went to the dispensary. I couldn't go because I didn't have the card. And she went in and got the stuff, and I kind of told her what to do. But she went in and got the stuff and brought it home, and I rolled her a nice tight one, and she smoked it up, and then came inside, and she was okay, and then the kids panicked. Oh shit, Dad's gonna get fired. Mom and Dad are outside smoking weed. I wasn't. I was still working. I was still a cop. But she had her medical card, and it's helped her a lot with her MS. At one time, she was taking handfuls of, oh my God, the pills she was taking when it dropped the horse. But now, it helps her with her sleeves and stuff. And it helped her a lot. She's going to be in a chair pretty soon as well. She was supposed to be wheelchair bound 5 years ago. But she's been doing really well and fighting off. But it's getting to the point where she's probably going to be wheelchair bound pretty soon. It's affected her balance and walking ability and her fatigue level. But she's been doing very well, and cannabis has helped a lot with it. So I know it helps. I know. And the biggest thing we got to do is get more testing. We need to get it deregulated and get more testing done because I know the benefits of cannabis are there. We just need to prove it so other people can see the light and show what the benefits of cannabis are and other derivatives we can pull from it to help people because I know it's a good benefit.
I smoke cannabis, I'm just smoking I don't like taking medication.
Right.
I don't like the
Side effects. Yeah.
I would say cannabis for my sleep, my pain, for breathing disorder, stress,
Well, I got lucky and I got that computer. I haven't taken an opioid in 8 years. I electronically roadblock the pain. So it does, the signals don't make it to my brain. I don't have to use the cannabis or opioids to block the pain receptors in my brain. The signals never make it. Technology is pretty wicked. They called me Robocop for a long time, but I have a computer implant that does that. It's pretty wicked, but
I was gonna say, does anybody else have any?
Just a quick comment.
yeah,
I've been coming to these meetings for over 30 years. 30 years ago, the cannabis world in Arizona was very different from what it is today.
oh yeah.
There were no cannabis businesses. The first one that opened was a tiny hydroponic shop over in Tempe. The chief of police in Tempe lost his mind.
Oh yeah.
Very publicly stationed squad cars right in front, took pictures of all the customers coming in and out. I still remember buying my first grow light and parking 2 blocks away, hopping alleys, over fences, and coming in the back door, scaring the crap out of the guy working at the counter, all out of fear that I was going to get arrested pulling in. Well, today you could go on Amazon and have anything you need delivered the next day. But the evolution of the role of law enforcement with cannabis has not evolved as fast as the cannabis world has. But the simple fact that you're here talking to our band of madmen here tonight says a world about how far we've come in communicating with people. So big cheer for this.
It's these guys, and you owe them a lot. I've met these guys and got to know them and earned their trust to bring them. They wouldn't have brought me here if I hadn't earned their trust. They protect you guys a lot. You know that. But Mama Bear, she had to get to know me and trust me before she would let me come here and love her a lot. She does a lot for you guys. And I really want to get to know you guys a lot better and what you guys have going on. And I know some different people in the cannabis industry, and I've talked to them. A lot of them are the business side of it. You know, they're out to make a buck. They're working their asses off doing it. But they do distribute a lot, and they do help you guys, but it's for their profit. But you guys are more, not the victim side, you're the patient side, I guess. Consumer, patient side, you guys need it. So you have a different philosophy. You're both headed for the same goal, but you have a whole different philosophy and reason. You're not for profit. So, it's better to hear from you guys.
Got a question for you.
Yeah.
So one of the big challenges are a mindset, right, of a lot of people within those roles of power. So how exactly do you change that from the inside? I know that you're going to be kind of in charge there, right?
Well,
but how do you get
so? It's just like back during Prohibition. They would all be out there. Oh, alcohol's the devil. Alcohol's the devil. Then they'd go inside and drink the big whiskey sour. Every one of them. They're bullshit artists. Every one of them. And it's the stigma. I guarantee you, half the lawmakers up in Washington are using something. But they're all out there badmouthing it and won't pass laws to regulate it.
So from that perspective, what happens, with the local police departments as well? Are they still going to be enforcing?
They don't. I can only speak from where I come from in Glendale. Thank God, I came from a very reasonable, good agency. Glendale does a really good job. They don't go out and they're really not thuggish and they're not heavy-handed with stuff. And they allow officers to have their own do their own thing. And they don't, if you overstep, they come down on you. But officers have their own power, their own, what am I trying to say? Discretion. Damn, that word. Their own discretion. So I can't tell you how many times I ground meted there, back when it was a felony, still in Arizona, because I'm not going to ruin somebody's life. It's just dumb. And we would grind it in the dirt all the time, and not charge people because it was stupid. And I was a DEA agent, and I worked for Glendale for over 20 years. And my God, I don't know how much wild marijuana is grown in Glendale from all the weed that I ground in. There's got to be tons growing everywhere because I passed it up. Unless somebody had pounds and they were dealing, that's a whole different story.
That's where I got arrested for a joint. Was in Glendale.
Was it? Well, it is, like I said,
Spent the night in jail and couldn't get bailed out for a whole day.
It's officer discretion.
Because you can't bail out of Glendale jail. They take you down to Phoenix and put you down there. So I couldn't even get out of jail for a whole day. For the one joint.
Everywhere's like that.
But it's expunged now,
For the
right?
one joint.
It's
that they
expunged
didn't.
now, right?
How long ago was that?
2009.
Yeah.
I'm probably working.
I would have been working back in 2009.
Okay.
All right. Was it a motorcycle cop?
No, the guy outside the arena.
Wasn't me.
Okay, now
Oh, no,
that we have clarity on that, are there any more questions?
Yeah, I had some,
Yeah.
Jerry and then Greg.
yeah, it was Jerry and Sue.
Oh, no, Greg's
Oh,
next for
I didn't-
questions.
I don't have a lot of questions. Yeah, I was kind of concerned about something I've heard in recent years. Some of these dispensaries are selling crap weed. In other words, they're bleaching it and adding stuff to it, and it's making people sick. Now, all of the dispensaries are doing it, but some of them, when they went to recreational, they speed up their growth. And a lot of these suits are buying them up, increasing, and they're screwing the weed up. I didn't know it until we went to a 420 party, and I tried some regular weed, and for the first time, I don't know how long, I had munchies. But smoking the dispensary weed, I was starting to get brain fog and everything. So they're putting crap in their weed. And they were starting that in Washington, and I heard that some of the dispensaries that come in near my house are doing that.
Are you giving a reference to black market?
That's what I need. I didn't know that. I had one, and I won't say right in public, but I don't have them anymore. But so sometimes we found one called the Ponderosa, and they grow they have their own separate thing, so we've been buying there a lot because the weed. I still get a buzz, I get the munchies, so I know it's still weed. But I'm from old school, even the stuff with the seeds in it was better than some of the crap in the dispensaries. Right, some of the dispensaries. There's something you might know a little bit about that or not.
So, well, whenever profit comes in and whenever money gets involved, and humans are involved, somebody's going to try and make a quick buck and cheat the system and, try and outdo the other guy by cheating. But the regulatory systems that are in place suck right now, and nobody's checking to make sure, there's not like a regulatory agency that's really making sure that people aren't putting crap in, just to stretch the weed or stepping on it, whatever.
Yeah, it smells good and everything. Yeah.
So what other aspects?
I was never hit with white weed.
Yeah.
I was hit with everything else.
Right.
And so, and I knew when the weed was starting to get worse, I feel.
Right.
And as long as I had good weed, I feel pretty good. I don't have all the aches, pain.
Right.
Because I was helicopter crash, all kinds of stuff happened to me. I won't even go into all that.
Right. I don't know. We do need something better. And the way the law was written, that came in, honestly, I think it could have been done a lot better. maybe some of y'all will agree.
Military had meals.
Which is what we're trying to clean up. That's what NORML's trying to do, is clean up
Good.
this.
Yeah,
Got it.
there's ways
Yeah, the law was kind of screwed up, and there could have been, it could have been done better with something written in there to do some kind of regulation on the quality and oversight, but,
From the cleaning.
and they have to pay for it, but, well, it all gets passed on to the user, but yeah, there needs to be something done to make sure that, it's better quality stuff. In the back.
Right.
Where do you allow your deputies to consume cannabis?
So that's not up to me as the sheriff. There's a regulatory agency that is over all law enforcement in Arizona, and they set the standard, and I can work on that. Actually, my wife was on that board. She was one of the civilians. So if there is civilian oversight of law enforcement in Arizona, there has been for a long, long time, and they do a really good job. We actually have some of the strictest oversight over law enforcement in the country. It's called Arizona Post Board. So it's made of law enforcement, it has to have representatives from different sized agencies all over the state. Rank and file, upper management, sheriffs, chiefs of police, lieutenants, sergeants, officers, from all different sizes of agencies and civilians. Jamie was one of the civilians. She was appointed by the governor for 2 terms until we got this last governor. She was replaced, but politics. But they set the standard for all the training, all the pre-hire. So, right now, let's say you can't have smoked marijuana more than 50 times to be hired as a police officer. You can't have used cocaine more than once, or, prior to being 18. You have to be able to run the 1.5 miles in a certain amount of time if you're this age. All those standards are set by the post board. You cannot smoke or have any drugs in your system as an officer, period. That's a standard set by post right now.
So you're saying you should lobby them?
Well,
for opiates.
So,
prescribed, except prescribed,
Except for prescribed opiates.
Yeah.
It's prescribed anything.
so if the officer had a medical card, would
Nope.
they be permitted?
That's not.
That's
not
not
prescribed.
Which,
But it's not prescribed, it's a recommendation.
Yeah.
which is the
That's a
funny thing, though.
recommendation, not a actual prescription.
Even though it says
Which is
it's supposed to
absent.
be treated the same as a prescription.
But as Mr. Crawford said, though, a fire department and a firefighter absolutely positively is allowed to have a medical card and is allowed to stay on the job.
Yep.
And that's still a government organization.
Yep.
If he was a Glendale firefighter, it would have been totally fine. As a Glendale police officer, and that's the way it is across the valley right now.
So if I was a firefighter and I was caught with cocaine in my system while on duty, I would not be fired. I would be allowed to go through rehab,
I went to college.
and they would pay for it.
You can fire.
So it's totally different worlds. Yeah. So, but that's just the way it is right now.
Right now, they hire people,
So he's asking if they hire people that do use cannabis. They're very strict. You can only have used it so many times, and you have to have been not using it for a certain amount of time before applying. They're really strict on what it is. We're trying to get that changed, but it's a very long, slow process like what you guys have been using.
So if I used it constantly for the last 12 years, that counts as one time.
I can guarantee nobody in here could get hired.
That won't fly, so it's okay. I don't think there's that many.
For other
people
jobs,
who are
yeah, but for law enforcement, no. But I have cards. I'd like to give everybody a card. Please check out my website. No charge. And
And
please
he has a petition to
And
sign
listen,
too.
what a great podcast. Like
Yeah. and listen to the podcast. We got into it was 3 hours long.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I talk like hell, but please check out the podcast, and we talked about a lot of this stuff on there, and we go in depth on some of it, and please check it out. And weed's legal, and I really don't care. as long as you're not impaired to where you're gonna put yourself in harm, I really don't give a damn. As long as you're not driving, you know. Don't.
Ask them later.
Oh,
You ask really good questions, mine one more.
Well, I was going to ask, about the tests, roadside tests, right, for
Yeah.
DUI. Obviously, they're not the same, to be able to judge impairment, for cannabis
Yeah,
use. They are.
Yep.
So,
It's the same thing.
The phones are more dangerous.
And that's no joke. At least somebody on weed is trying to stay in the lane. Somebody on their phone, nobody's driving. Yeah, nobody's driving. And I tell people that all the time. But
I used
yeah.
to work at a body shop, and when the weed was sort of legal, they were blaming it on the weed, and the body shop was, came out on there. So, we were getting bumper jobs day and night, They hit each other, and they were blaming it on the weed, They break the weed after they hit each other. These
Cool,
guys,
yeah.
to this day, they're doing that.
Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Dr.
And John and Julie aren't here, so we don't have any executive updates. So,
I was trying to.
what else? Events. We really have nothing. There's Highfield Farms on Saturday. There's a veterans event on Saturday. My birthday is Sunday. And Mita is December 6th. There's no Mita in November because everybody goes to MJ's Con. And there's no Canada Friends except for in Tucson. We need to. Oh, and then happy birthday
To you.
Sorry.
Happy birthday to you.
Like,
Happy birthday, dear Allison. Happy birthday to you.
birthday week, right? And I think we're done. Oh wait, what?
We got some giveaways for
Oh,
people
no,
here
no.
tonight. We haven't done this for a while. Last year, we were passing these out at every meeting. And we used